If you are getting ready to potty train your little one and you are thinking about doing daytime and nighttime potty training at the same time, I want you to put a pause on that thought. Because in reality, you can't actually potty train your child while they're asleep. Have you ever learned anything while you were sleeping? I bet you haven't. Potty training is not like osmosis where you can just fall asleep on a book and learn how to do something while you're asleep, okay? You can't actually teach your child to use a potty while they are sleeping. So let me tell you what you are going to do to get your child potty trained during the day and then add on potty training at night when the time is right. You want your child to learn how to use the potty during the day before you start working on the night because you really want to make sure that they have these skills down while they're awake before you think about how are they going to stay dry and use the potty if they do need to during the nighttime. So before you do anything, you're gonna start with potty training during the day. Now, during the daytime, you're going to teach your child how to recognize their body cues and tell you when they need to go potty, or they can just learn how to go to the potty on their own, right? So that is the first step. You want to make sure that your child is consistently telling you when they need to go potty during the daytime as the first step before you are even thinking about what to do during nap time or nighttime. Naps apply to the same concept. You want to really get potty training down while your child is awake before you work on times when they are supposed to be sleeping. Now you might be thinking, why is it important for my child to be potty training during the day before I think about it at night? Or maybe this makes perfect sense to you, but let me explain. Now, the more that your child learns how to recognize those cues, those urges, the sensations that tell them that they need to go potty and then act on them, the more their brain is making this connection that that's what they're supposed to do when those urges happen. Okay? You want that to really be nailed down while they're awake. It's going to help them have that much more success when it comes time to even think about the nighttime. Now let's talk about naps, okay? Naps are short, right? Your child is going to be on average needing to use the bathroom about every 2 hours, give or take, right? Unless they are drinking a ton or maybe not drinking enough, that's about an average amount of time that a kid should go without needing to use the bathroom. So a nap is typically for a toddler going to be around 1 to 2 hours, right? So you want to wait to focus on nap time once your child is staying dry for 2 hours during the daytime and that they are recognizing those cues and initiating and acting on them. That is one of the things that you really want to keep an eye on before you even think about ditching the diaper or the pull-up at nap time. You definitely don't want to be washing sheets all the time and dealing with potty messes after nap time, day after day. So I highly encourage you to wait until you are seeing those things happening before you ditch that diaper or pull up at nap time. Now, if you are potty training your child and they have already ditched the nap, then go ahead and stick with underwear or whatever step of potty training you are during that middle of the day time frame so that your child can continue to work on practicing their potty skills. Now, another thing to keep in mind if your child is still napping and they are consistently staying dry throughout their nap, and maybe they are still working on their potty skills during the daytime, but they're staying dry during nap time, you can go ahead and ditch the diaper during that time. You just want to make sure that you've taught your child and practiced with them how they can communicate to you and get your attention if they do need to go potty during nap time. Now, this is going to apply to nap time and nighttime. Toddlers love to pull out all the stops. They love their stalling tactics and being silly, and they might start to using the potty as a delay tactic for bedtime or nap time. And that is something that you'll have to navigate and figure out, is this truly when they have to go potty, or, are they just kind of playing games? Now, speaking of stalling tactics and nighttime, my toddler is a pro at this lately. Now, one thing that he doesn't use as a stalling tactic is the potty. I mean, sometimes he does, but typically he doesn't because part of our bedtime routine includes going to the potty, okay? So one thing I highly suggest is incorporating into your bedtime routine at any stage of potty training. As soon as you start, if you've already started and you're watching this now, go ahead and start incorporating a potty sit, an opportunity for your child to empty their bladder before they go to bed, into your child's bedtime routine. Let's talk about when should you ditch the diaper or the pull-up at bedtime, okay? Now, I want to explain something a little bit sciencey to you. It's really simple to understand. Our body produces a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, ADH. This is also called vasopressin. This hormone is produced by our body, and it tells our body and our kidneys essentially to not produce as much urine so that we do not have to pee as much. And this is increased at nighttime because our body is smart and it doesn't want us to have to wake up when we need to pee. It doesn't want us to have to pee overnight, right? So it doesn't want us to wake up needing to pee overnight. Now for toddlers, this doesn't happen until some point in their early childhood, and there's not a specific age or, pinpoint of a time when this starts to happen. So one thing to keep in mind when it comes to potty training at nighttime is your child may not yet be producing that increase in ADH overnight that tells your body to decrease its urine output. Okay, so there is a physical component, a physiological thing going on that you do have to account for. There's a lot of other reasons that your child may still be urinating overnight also. Their smaller body size, the bladder can be smaller. If they do have any issues with constipation and there's a backup of poop, that could also put pressure on the bladder and can be a reason for prolonged bedwetting. Breathing things going on, if your child has sleep apnea, if they're snoring, these are all things that could play a role in why your child is urinating overnight for an extended period of time. So I do suggest, if possible, to seek out maybe what are some other potential reasons if you have been dealing with peeing overnight for a long period of time, because it may not just be that ADH hormone, there could be something else going on. So when should you potty train at night? There's not a clear-cut answer that I can give you, but one thing that I do suggest keeping in mind is seeing if your child is staying dry overnight on their own. Now, if they are doing really well with potty training during the day, and this has been going on for a few months, typically the nighttime will start to be dry as well. You'll start to see your child waking up with a dry pull-up or a diaper. Now, if they are on the younger side when you start potty training, it could be a little bit longer until you see that. If they're dealing with some of those other things that I mentioned, it could also be a longer time until you see them staying dry overnight. And that's something that you do want to account for, right? You don't want to be changing sheets every morning because your child is wetting their bed. You want to make sure that you're setting your child up for success. And if there's other things in the way of that or other things that are influencing that, you want to make sure you're keeping an eye on that. You can't really potty train overnight. There's just those other physical things that you want to account for. Now, something to also keep in mind is there's things that you could be doing while your child is awake that's going to help them stay dry overnight. So that could be limiting fluids an hour or two before bedtime. Now, that doesn't mean give your child nothing to drink. I like to call it at my house a final sip. So they stop eating and drinking around dinner time, and then right before bed, they can get their final sip. If your child is a big water drinker or they bring a water bottle to bed, that's just something to keep in mind, right? They're drinking, that means that their body is going to be producing urine and they may need to pee overnight. If your child does need to pee overnight, that is where you want to make sure you're incorporating strategies and teaching your child what to do when they feel that need. If it wakes them up in the middle of the night and they need to go potty, do you need to have them call for you for help if they're still in a crib so that you can take them to the potty? If they're in a bed, can you put a little potty in their room, or can they walk to the bathroom on their own, or do they need your help? These are all things that you want to be thinking about so that if your child does wake up overnight and they need to go potty, that they have a way to do that. So if you are getting started with potty training or you're already in the mix and you want some support and guidance, more information, and want to have a successful potty training experience so you are not doing this forever, go ahead and head to the link in the description and you can find out how I can support you through your potty training journey.